Hi guys, Josh here, and yesterday Natsume revealed the first images and some new details from their next game, Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home. In this video, I wanted to have a look at these images with you, tell you everything we know about the game so far, and my thoughts on it. This game was first announced on May 29th of this year, and before we got to see any images, one thing we knew is that it was planned to release for iOS and Android in August, and that is still what they're aiming for. It's not the first time that Natsume releases a mobile game, as we also got Light of Hope in 2018 and Mad Dash in 2020. I'm pretty sure that these games had no microtransactions, and with Home Sweet Home, they have in fact confirmed in their new press release that there would be no in-app purchases. Which I'm really glad to hear because I actually don't mind playing a game on my phone or tablet, and I think it also makes the game more accessible to players who maybe don't have a console or gaming PC. My main concern with mobile games is usually microtransactions and everything that comes with those, like having to wait for things to happen, or maybe having to check in daily to complete certain tasks. But it seems like this game will be just a one-time purchase and follow the same type of gameplay we're used to in most farming games, but on mobile, and there are very few games like that. We have ports of Stardew Valley and My Time at Portia. They are fun, but since those games were not designed for mobile from the start, the controls can be a bit tedious, and that makes them not the most convenient to play on your phone. Of course, it would be great if eventually Home Sweet Home could be ported to consoles or PC and reach even more players, but if they can execute the controls and gameplay well, I honestly would love to have a nice farming game that I could play anywhere, make a bit of progress and harvest some crops when taking breaks from work or something. Hopefully it would autosave often and let you jump in and out quickly, but I really love the idea. One thing I want to point out, however, is that right now, I cannot get Harvest Moon Light of Hope, nor Harvest Moon Mad Dash on the Play Store with my devices. It looks like they have not really been updating these games in recent years to run on modern devices, so there is a risk that in a few years from now, the same thing will happen with Home Sweet Home, and if you upgrade your phone, you may no longer be able to download the game. That's another reason why it could be great to have this game on other platforms, but hopefully if it's a really good game and it sells well enough, Natsume will keep it up to date for years to come. So let me know what you think about the game being released for iOS and Android only. But now, let's talk about what makes Home Sweet Home different from other Harvest Moon games. At first glance, it actually does not look too different from Harvest Moon: The Winds of Anthos, which released last year. They are reusing a lot of the same assets, so you will recognize that the animals, the dialogue boxes, the font, the UI, the characters, the environment, it all looks very similar, which I actually don't mind at all. I think that The Winds of Anthos looked pretty good graphically. The problem I had with it was with the world design and just how empty the world was. Of course, it is hard to compare with just a few screenshots that were probably carefully selected. The camera angle in the new game is also a bit more from the top, so you don't see as much of the surroundings, but I do feel like the environments are more detailed. For example, one of my favorite screenshots is this one here with the pond, and you can see it's surrounded by different types of trees, plants. There's a log, a mushroom, some butterflies. In the water you have some weeds and lily pads. It just feels a lot fuller than anything in the Winds of Anthos, and you can tell that a lot more care was put into crafting the environments. And it all makes sense when you learn that this game will be taking place in Alba, the protagonist's hometown, and your goal will be to restore it to its full potential. The Winds of Anthos, and also One World, focused on having a very large world with lots of different towns that you had to restore, and personally, I am not a fan of traveling all the time in a farming sim, especially since the environments that we were exploring in those games did not have many details or interesting things to see or do. But I think that if you put some of the gameplay mechanics and assets of Winds of Anthos in a smaller, more detailed world, focusing everything on just one town to restore, it could be quite interesting, and I feel like it has a lot more potential. The game will feature most core mechanics of the series, like farming, animals, fishing, mining, festivals, and also romance. There will be 4 bachelors and 4 bachelorettes, and you will be able to marry whoever you want, no matter your gender. Winds of Anthos had 10 romanceable characters, so there's not too much of a difference here. They did mention in their press release that residents will move in as you work on the town, so you may not have access to all of the romanceable characters right from the start, but I like that you won't have to go to different towns all the time if you want to interact with everyone. We also got a first look at the protagonists. They are actually different from the ones in The Winds of Anthos. There's one male character, one female character. I think they look pretty good. They did not say anything about customization. I know that in The Winds of Anthos you could customize skin color, I believe the eye color as well. I would love to be able to change up these characters a little bit more, maybe create a character from scratch. But here are the two protagonists that they are using to promote the game, so you can expect to play as a character similar to those. Overall, I will say I am pleasantly surprised by Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home so far. I always had a bit of a hard time with the Natsume Harvest Moon games. Light of Hope and One World looked a bit rough, they lacked some polish in a lot of ways in terms of gameplay and story. But then Winds of Anthos brought the series one big step forward. The main thing I didn't like was the open world, so I feel like this one could finally be the Harvest Moon game I've been waiting from Natsume. The one that's gonna make me feel at home. I'm actually a lot more excited than I was for the Winds of Anthos, and even if it will probably have less content, to me that sounds like a good thing, especially for a mobile game. Usually you want a more simple experience. And if it's fun and plays well on my phone, I'll definitely be playing it this August, which is not very far from now. But let me know what you think. Will you be playing Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home? Or will you be skipping it? Or maybe waiting for a Switch or a PC port? Let me know what you think. Leave a like and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you all in the next video.